She's getting married. Our Taylor's all grown up. She's getting married. Hi guys. I finally got a microphone. So she finally said yes. No, I can't stand this. Nope. I have to hold it. I don't know why. I'm very picky about the angle it's at. I had this feeling. Like I knew that I wanted to wait, Ever since her podcast on New Heights, I knew that everybody was kind of, uploading predictions videos and reaction videos and stuff because she announced her new album. I just had that feeling of just waiting. She kept doing, the countdowns and stuff, and now that she's engaged, I'm like, oh my god. I was gonna post a TikTok yesterday, but I looked like dog poop. I was literally doing laundry, and my friend Elena had texted me in just all caps, and I was like, oh my god. And then I went on her Instagram, and I'm still speechless about it. Obviously it's been all over the news and stuff, and then me, I've just been waiting, just been chilling. But I obviously do love, to watch the YouTubers that I watch because I'm a random Swiftie who loves YouTube. So in case you're new here, my name is Mariana, and I've been watching Zach the Swiftologist, Ali Sheehan, and Lauren Lippman. Those are kind of like my top three out of, reliable Taylor content. I also have my notes over here. I try to make it look like the album, like the way it's, color coded. So first off, a lot of people are saying that it might be, a commentary on fame because, it's the life of a showgirl, and Taylor obviously said, it's what was going on behind the curtains. And her cover art, I do notice that a lot of people have critiques on it. And in my opinion, I don't necessarily dislike it, but I could see where people might think that maybe other photos that she's had for this photo shoot would be a better album cover. Does that make any sense? Like, the other showgirl photos that she's taken, they're epic. So I can see where a couple other ones would be, perfectly valid candidates. I did want to also mention that a lot of people are mentioning how this could be a lost album Karma that was supposedly gonna come out had the Reputation era not, come about the way that it did. I don't necessarily think that there was an album called Karma. I'm not convinced that, she had a whole name for, a whole body of work. I don't think she really got that far. I definitely see where people might think that she had certain songs that she would have put out, but not yet. Maybe she was in the works of a new album, but in my opinion, I'm not convinced that it's an album called Karma. On the Jimmy Fallon show, I know that she said, could I hint at something 3 years in advance and things like that. So I do see where fans are coming from, is because the accent color is orange, you know what I mean? If that's the main thing of the Easter eggs was, when she started using the color orange, then yeah, I mean, it would have made sense for her to come up with the concepts for this album a lot sooner. However, it does get a little debunked though, because she did say how she started, working on this album during the tour. Which is still amazing for her because her productivity is scary. Like, she's over here, putting on this famous world tour. She's supporting her boyfriend at his football game. She's slipping away. She worked on a whole nother album while she was doing that. She put it out. She's rehearsing, to put the set list for Tortured Poets into the tour while still, trying to be there for Travis, getting time off to, spend with him. And I guess now, even while she was doing the Tortured Poets set on tour and everything, she's over here writing another album. Like, a lot of us can't even have our laundry washed, dried, folded, and put away in the same day. We should be ashamed of ourselves. It's just insane. It's insane how much brain power she has. Like, she never ceases to amaze us. The first thing people did was kind of point out all the Easter eggs, like the orange door from the tour. Yes, I am reading off my notes. The music video Feathers and I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, the behind the scenes. They also pointed out the fact that Taylor had an Instagram post where she was walking up to, into the stadium, and there was an 812 square in the row of seats that she was near. I don't know if maybe that was after they had confirmed that she was going to go on the podcast, and maybe that's when she decided that that's how she was going to announce the album, who knows. And then obviously, the bejeweled music video, she's got plenty of showgirl aesthetic in that one. Let's get to the track list. The album track list was just as, intriguing as Taylor always makes it. The Fate of Ophelia. So I don't know much about Shakespeare. I kind of just know the basics. He writes tragedies. Romeo and Juliet is, considered to be the greatest love story ever told. I don't know why. They both kind of off themselves at the end. And then with Hamlet, I know that The Lion King was based off of William Shakespeare's Hamlet. That's kind of all I know. I've never read the play, so I had to just do some basic research, and I guess Ophelia was his love interest. And then I guess he kind of drives her to madness, I guess, and she drowns. That's her cause of death. So from my notes, I just thought, maybe Taylor identifies with the character. If that's something that has happened to her, if there's anybody that's made her feel that way. We're not going to name names because we are in a new era. Anyway, I also thought maybe she'll be, kind of contrary. Maybe if the song will be about like the contrary to the prophecy. You guys remember the prophecy? That song it's honestly sad. So I think that maybe she'll kind of write like the contrary to things like that. Elizabeth Taylor, I think that might be more on the Hollywood side. You know what I mean? Because I did do basic research on her. I know she had a 6-decade long career. She was born in 1932 in London. She won 2 Academy Awards. She had her first role at the age of 10. She was married quite a few times, and she has 4 kids. She passed away in 2011. I don't know if maybe this will be like the Lucky One 2.0, from Red, or like if it'll have any kind of Clara Bow vibes. Our pop queen's gonna come back, so I'm hoping that she does some kind of ready for it treatment for any one of these songs. The third track is Opalite. I really don't know what to expect from that, because obviously that's just one word. It's kind of vague, but I know that track 3s are generally good. I love Love Story, style. What's a good track 3? I Did Something Bad. I generally like her track 3s. I know Treacherous from Red. What else do we got? Lover, title track off the Lover albums. It's not bad. I know that Lover's not everyone's favorite album, but hey, maybe this album will do what Lover couldn't. And then as far as like the opal aspect, I'm curious to see what context she's gonna have behind that, because it's like a stone, right? It's a gem. Track 4 is Father Figure. So you know how we've started that tradition of trying to claim songs, right? Us Swifties. For me, it's never been correct. I always claim the wrong song. It happened on Tortured Poets big time. I claimed the title track, Tortured Poets, and that's not my favorite song. My favorite song turned out to be Down Bad, which is a track 4. I've usually claimed the titles that I think are so interesting, but again, I've been wrong about it. The only one where I ever got it right was Evermore. 'Tis the Damn Season is still to this day my favorite song off that album since the first time I heard it. As soon as I heard that guitar come in all nice and wintry, and So Father Figure, I have no idea what that could be about. For all we know, it could be a shout out to Paul Sidoti. Could it be any kind of reflective message? Who knows? But it's a track 4, so I have a feeling that maybe I might like it, even though the title doesn't really intrigue me the way other titles do on this album. Like, for example, track 5, Eldest Daughter. We all know her track 5s. She has a tradition for her track 5. Is she going to be talking about herself? Will this be, a third party perspective? Will it also be related to fame at all? You know what I mean? Like, based on the timeline of, female artists, and, kind of the female artists that they consider to be mentors, or, the public is like, oh, that's, she's like a daughter to this artist. We shall find out. But either way, I do expect, the whole like sentimental, delicate, vulnerable aspect of it. Track 6 is Ruin the Friendship. I have a feeling that this might also be a banger, because you have track 6 like But Daddy I Love Him, you have Shake It Off, you have You Belong With Me. Track 6 like Look What You Made Me Do. Track 6s are not her quiet songs, at least not really, except for Midnight Rain. Midnight Rain was pretty chill. But is it gonna be throwing shade? I know some fans have speculated like, oh, will it be about Blake Lively and how the whole like lawsuit, or will it be like romantic, like he ruined the friendship and now you guys are more than friends? But I don't know, Travis never really tried to be her friend. Anyway, which brings us to track 7. I hope that track 7 is a favorite of mine on this album. I've never been so captivated by a track 7 like ever. I Almost Do from Red was probably my favorite track 7. Other than that, I really don't care for much of the track 7s. I know that during Tortured Poets, people thought Fresh Out the Slammer was like epic and stuff. Sorry guys. It's just not mine. I have my fingers crossed that this will not only be a song that I like, but I do hope that it's about Travis, like he's actually romantic, like the way that he went after her, the way that he approached her. Well, not approached her because he did it, but for actually romantic, I hope that it's about, Travis and the way that he went about trying to meet her. Track 8 is Wishlist, and it has dollar signs. So I predict this also being a banger, kind of like Bad Blood, you know what I mean? Because track 8s have also been upbeat, like Florida, We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, you know what I mean? Gorgeous, even. I think track 8 might be pretty up there. Track 9 is Wood, and for this song, I have a feeling that this might be a fan favorite because think about it. A lot of her fan favorites, like the deep cuts, they tend to be track 9s. Like songs, we're talking songs like Enchanted, Getaway Car, and like Guilty of Sin. You know what I mean? So I feel like a track 9 is always that kind of like fan favorite that she just slips in. Maybe not every single time, I don't want to be too literal about it, but I have confidence and I have trust that we're going to love this song. The fact that it's one word might just like, amplify the anticipation. Track 10 is Cancelled, and it's all caps with an exclamation point. It also has 2 L's. So, I mean, will this be Who's Afraid of Little Old Me Part 2? Will it be reflective? I don't know, on her 2016 stuff that she went through. I don't know how fans might feel about, still talking about the 2016 incident, because I know that Thank You Amy got some backlash. Zach the Swiftologist and then other fans, who obviously agreed. It wasn't received all that great. People appreciated it and respected it for, the piece of art that it is, like how we always do. But I know that Thank You Amy, like people were just like, what? Why? Like, did you have to? Why is it here? It was funny because I had an argument prior to her announcing that she had ownership of all her albums. I was originally gonna say, hey guys, maybe while she was re-recording Reputation, you see where I'm going with that? Maybe she had, nostalgic feelings and, reflection, and maybe that's where that song came from. No, that was debunked when she said that she didn't even record even a quarter of it. So, back to square one. Hopefully this song Cancelled, might be able to do what Thank You Amy couldn't, if it is about, any of that subject matter. Maybe she'll be calling out cancel culture in general, maybe it'll have a karma like message, it'll get the karma treatment. But either way, it's a confirmed banger thanks to Travis, because he said that on the podcast. So very, very excited. Track 11 is called Honey, and I don't know why, like when I saw that title, I immediately thought of Sweet Nothing. I thought of that, song that she kind of just puts in there as like that song of peace and content. But this song doesn't sound like it's very peaceful. The build up that she's giving to this album, it doesn't sound like it's gonna be that, like calm the way Tortured Poets was. Will it be about Travis? Who knows? And another thing that fans are bringing up is like they think that this album might be quote unquote horny, because she's been hanging around Sabrina a lot. So who knows, even if she does, Taylor's like 35, she's about to be 36. There's an element to her fan base, like she said, where, we feel like we grew up with her. So we're grown. And just for the record, guys, there's 4 letters that you can type into Google and it'll bring up plenty of websites, okay? Every adult knows what I'm talking about, so I'm just gonna toss that out there, okay? That is completely free. It is completely accessible. So, like, we should, acknowledge the concept of it's our job as parents to also be monitoring what our children are up to, as best as we can. I understand that we can't be in all places at once, but just saying. Lastly, track 12, The Life of a Showgirl, it has Sabrina, and I'm excited to hear that one too. I don't know if it's going to be, reflective, kind of like the Lucky One, like how we just said, is it going to be nothing new vibes, or, will it be on the seductive side maybe, because it's going to be, like upbeat and pop-like, or will there be, like a lot more lyrical depth? Who knows? But either way, it's exciting. I'm excited. I know a lot of people are excited. As soon as I saw that Max Martin and Shellback are back, this album might give 1989 a run for its money. I said that on my TikTok. Obviously 1989 will always be 1989, you know what I mean? But it's like the way she describes this album, how proud she is of it, the confidence that she displayed on the podcast about this album, because Tortured Poets, she kind of just needed to let it out. I never really went over a review. We're in a new era. It's kind of kind of late for that. At least I feel like it is. Tortured Poets, like, it had the backlash that it had, that it was too long, that it was so, emotional, it was too slow. There wasn't enough like pop moments, there wasn't enough like catchy choruses and things like that. So I mean, that album, I really do feel like it was more for us fans that have been around for a long time, and those casual listeners that are interested in really like going into depth with her craft and the way she makes her art. Very, very lure based. Like Zach said, the Swiftologist, very lure based, and I agree. With this album, I think, we're gonna get our pop queen back. She's gonna dominate the pop charts again, and we're gonna have a good time. And I think there's gonna be plenty of songs on the radio. I'm actually surprised she hasn't released a single yet. That's another thing that fans were bringing up, is like she hasn't released any kind of single. She's released a bunch of the variants and the CDs, but she hasn't really released any like visual content about it just yet. So I'm interested to see what she's gonna do with that. But I mean, other than that, our girl's engaged. I love the TikToks and all the video content that people were making, like, she just announced that she's engaged and we're just supposed to go to work. We're just supposed to, go about our lives today. I can't focus on anything else. There were people crying, and yes, I'm gonna rub it in a little bit, guys. I was off yesterday. Let me have my moment. I was able to keep up with everyone's, live reactions, and it was great. And it was all over the news too. Even the president had a comment. So like everyone was just talking about it, and like, there's obviously the jokes about like nobody cares. I had a friend on Facebook who shared a post like marked safe from giving two shits about Taylor and Travis getting engaged, and I just put like a funny little gif, like like all offended. So, but no, it's funny. I mean, it was all over. I didn't see exactly where they were at. Not that they have to, but I was kind of low-key hoping that they would record it. You know what I mean? Like I was hoping like maybe we could get like a video of it, but that's okay. That's okay. That's just me being greedy. I can't imagine how Taylor must have been feeling. I can't imagine, like her face, her like, up close, right? The perfect angle. I would have loved to hear, what Travis said, if he had any kind of little monologue with it or anything at all, or was it kind of just quick? I have no doubt it was spontaneous, obviously, that's kind of how proposals are. She's not supposed to know. I'm personally waiting for her to kind of give us our, the next kind of like interview, wherever that may be. I want to hear what she has to say. I want to hear how she's feeling. I want to know anything that they are willing to share about, plans. And I definitely want to hear Travis' story on like when did you know? When were you determined? I definitely find it cringe, for people to kind of just condemn their, engagement or marriage altogether right off of the announcement. Oh, how long is this gonna last? Oh, it's not gonna last, and I don't know what else. There were some people on the internet that literally thought that Taylor had been engaged a couple times before. She hasn't. Like, unless you have concrete proof of her acknowledging or implying that she was engaged to be married at some point, no, she hasn't. I'm saying off the comment section. That's the first, promise that I made to myself. I did browse, but I'm saying off the comment sections, because we need to be happy for them. Those of us that are genuine fans, like we're genuinely happy for them. Taylor's been writing, songs about this kind of commitment to her for like ever. Granted, many of her songs are not even about romance anymore, but if you go back to an album like Fearless, it's just, Fearless was my rabbit hole album. And if it is true that those vinyls represent the albums that she reclaimed, I did manage to snag that orange one on the Baby That's Show Business collection, because if that is supposed to represent Fearless, that was my Taylor Swift rabbit hole album. I've never owned a vinyl before, so I chose that one. I did want the blue one, but I didn't have the funds. I even recorded my reaction to. I'll probably insert it. I'm legitimately trying to find a spot to record in my house. The countdown's about to finish, so I like try to get ready like really, really fast, but I think I look very, very bad, especially in this lighting. I didn't want to miss it. I didn't want to miss it. What's happening? More vinyls! Oh my god, look at these! I want the blue one! Look at these. Wow, I want the blue one. I was originally going to record a video that day. I had like a outfit on, trying to find somewhere to record, but I didn't have the time. I was trying to get ready way too fast. I think I looked so awful. I get very picky. I didn't end up recording anything, but I did want to catch my reaction, and I wasn't able to snag the blue one, but I was able to snag the other one. Hopefully I can get a hold of the blue one at some point. But yeah, let me know what you guys thoughts are. Let me know what you guys think. Taylor and Travis are gonna be willing to share with us, because that's what I'm excited about. I completely understand that that's their thing. Their wedding planning, their engagement, all of that is completely between them two. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, we should acknowledge that. But in anything that they are willing to share, I'm all ears. I'm excited to hear it, and I think everyone might be as well. So let me know what you guys think. Thanks for tuning in. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.